Welcome to the step-by-step desktop PC build guide. I'm using PC Building Simulator 2 here because I don't currently own the parts needed to do a real-life build, but every placement and cable like you see here can be used to build a real-life computer. First, we're going to want to unbox all our components and get the case onto a roomy workstation. Before touching any parts, you're going to want to tap and expose metal part of the case to ground yourself. You're going to want to do this every time you return to the bench because static electricity could potentially damage your delicate parts. Let's prep our case. So you'd want to take off the thumb screws located on the front and back of the case, and then the panel should just lift away with ease. And now let's take the power supply bracket out. You unscrew it, and then it will easily slide out the back. Keep these pieces safe and to the side now for reassembly later. Now we're gonna prepare the motherboard. So first, you're gonna want to check the manual to find out the correct board mounting pattern for the standoffs. The standoffs are screws that can be found in either the motherboard or case box, and you have to line them up so that when you put the motherboard in, there's a standoff for every screw mounting hole, and nowhere else. Standoffs prevent short-circuiting, which would permanently destroy your expensive motherboard. Now we lower the board straight down, aligning the I/O ports, and we start each screw by hand before finishing them off with a Phillips head screwdriver. You want it to be firm, not too forceful, and just confirm the hole locations in the manual if anything looks off. Now we're going to install the memory. The motherboard's manual again lists the optimal slots to install the RAM sticks, but they're usually the second and fourth from the CPU. You need to open the top and bottom latches for each slot, line up the notch of the RAM with the notch in the slot, and then press down until both the top and bottom latches close. Now we're going to install the CPU. Open the retention arm here on the CPU socket, line up the gold arrow on the CPU to the arrow in the socket, and then just drop the chip in by gravity. We're going to lower the lever back down, and you'll see that the black cover will pop off when it's seated correctly. If it rocks or the black cover doesn't come off, lift the CPU back up, realign it, and never try to be forceful as you can damage the delicate pins or pads. Now if you have an M.2 SSD, we're gonna install it. If you don't know where the socket is, you can find it in your motherboard's manual again. And basically you just line it up with the notch on the SSD and the notch in the hole, press it in at a slight angle, and then you hold it down and screw it in the proper slot. Now we're gonna get your thermal paste out and add a pea-sized dot of thermal paste to the center of the CPU heat spreader. It's resin pressure, so don't worry if it's not even or if it looks a little lopsided. So now we're gonna place the cooler so it aligns with the bracket and screw it in an X pattern so that you don't do one screw all at once and that the force can be spread evenly. Now to install the large SSD and or a hard drive, we're going to want to go to the back of the case and find the drive tray, slide it back until it clicks, and then you just simply place the SSD or hard drive in and screw it down. So installing either one is the same process, but the hard drive is just normally a larger closure. And if you find any problems when doing this, your case manual will show which bay fits which size. Now you're going to want to remove the two PCI slot covers for the GPU. They're located here on the case. When you remove them, you want to keep them somewhere that you'll remember, as you don't put them back on unless you are taking your GPU back out. So now to install the GPU, you have to pop this latch, slide the graphics card into the top full-length PCIe slot, and you know it's in when you hear a click and the latch will snap shut. Then you screw it in to where those PCIe slot covers are, using the same screws that we just removed a little bit earlier. Fit the power supply into its bracket that we removed earlier from the case, with the fan facing down. Slide this full assembly back into the PSU spot of the case and screw it in. Now you can plug each modular cable back into the PSU, and they're all labeled so you know exactly which cables go where. But if you feel unsure, you can double check the PSU manual if anything is unclear. Now it's time for cables. You want to grab the 24-pin motherboard lead, the 8-pin CPU cable, and 2 PCIe cables from the power supply box. Feed each of these through the rubber grommets towards the back side of the case, leaving the loose ends near the motherboard. Connect the 24-pin and the 8-pin first. They're keyed, so they will only fit in one way, and they're pretty obvious to spot on the motherboard. You snap them in, and then we can move on to the GPU cable. It's the 2 PCIes, or however many that your GPU has, and they just click in as well. If you have a non-NVMe SSD or hard drive that you installed in the drive bay, you're going to need to run another power cable. This one should be labeled SATA power. If you have any unwanted cable length, you can pull them to the PSU side behind the tray and keep them nice and neat using Velcro straps or zip ties. Now we're done. Just pop the side panels back on, screw them in, and flip the PSU on. Finally, press the power button, and you should see your fans spin to life, and the computer should boot to the BIOS. We now have a system that boots in the simulator, and you should have a clear roadmap for how to build a computer with real hardware. Have a good day.